Alrighty, you're listening to KQCK radio station. This is Joe, and we have got a very special show ahead for you here for about the next half hour or so. We are going to do a special report with Florence Copper. That would be Rustin Shearer here, the Senior Public Affairs Advisor for the company. And then we also have Dr. Lee McFeeters, Research Professor from ASU. We're going to be talking about the socioeconomical impact study that just happened. Howdy, welcome both of you.
Thank you, Joe. Great to be here.
Good to be here, Joe.
Let's get started. Tell us a little bit about the Florence Copper project, first of all, so folks that aren't aware.
Certainly, I'd be happy to. And before we get going, again, really appreciate the opportunity to be here again with KQCK and appreciate all the work that you do for local businesses and the community, very supportive. Florence Copper, as you know, an in situ copper recovery project that is proposed in Florence. It's about a 429 million ton measured and indicated resource, and what that translates to is about 3 billion pounds of recoverable copper in a 28-year project. And we had a economic impact study commissioned here with Arizona State, and that's what we're here to talk about today, to talk about all of the great things that the project represents in terms of jobs and revenues for the state, for the town, and certainly for the county.
And we certainly appreciate you both coming into studio. And I just wanted to comment and say how wonderful it was. We had Rebecca Rios in studio last week talking about the scholarships. What a fantastic thing your company has done for the children out here.
Thank you. Well, it's certainly part of our core value as a company. Giving back and supporting education is one of the initiatives that complement all of the work that we're working on doing in Florence. Nice,
nice. What was the purpose behind the commissioning of the economic impact study?
Well, just to give you a brief answer to that question, we really want folks to know about what this project represents. And it really is a near-term economic development opportunity for Florence and for the region. And we look at this project certainly not as the end-all be-all for Florence or for Arizona, but we look at it as a tremendous opportunity to take a step in the right direction toward jump-starting an economic recovery for our state. So we believe strongly in this project. We believe in the science of the project and certainly the economics of the project, and we wanted to share that with folks. So that was really the reason behind getting this study going, and we certainly wanted to work with the folks at ASU because they've got tremendous experience and very reputable and credible in this arena.
Right, and having done a tour and knowing quite a bit about the Florence Copper project out there, I say please go out. If you've never done a tour and seen the site, you're still doing tours out there, correct?
We are. We are taking a break for this summer because we recognize that a lot of folks are out of town and on vacation, and certainly the heat is a factor.
Just a little warm, huh?
So we want to make sure that we're covering the safety concerns. That's our first priority. But we'll be doing tours on the third Fridays of every month beginning in September. They take about 2 hours of time. They're free. They're open to everyone. We give you a presentation and a tour of the site, ask all the questions that you'd like, and we want to make that very, very successful for the community. To date, Joe, we've had almost 700 people go through the site tour program, so we're really excited about that, and we're looking forward to talking more about what the project means in the community, and certainly this socioeconomic study is a large component of that.
It's definitely an amazing thing you all are doing out there. Who commissioned the study?
Well, that was us. Again, we wanted to share the really strong benefits that we see coming from this project. And so we reached out and started working with Dr. Lee McFeeters and Dennis Hoffman over at Arizona State last summer. And so now we're really at the end of a long road and a really, really complex study that is quite comprehensive in scope, and want to talk about that and make sure that folks are aware of the impact that it has for us and what the project again represents for the community.
Yeah, let's jump right into that. Key aspects for Florence, Pinal County, the state. What do we need to know?
Well, let me give you just a little bit of background on the way we approached the economic impact study. I'm in the L. William Seidman Research Institute, which is part of the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University, and we have done a number of these studies over the years, looking at major employers in Arizona, Raytheon, Boeing, We have studied most of the copper mines in the state and their economic impact. We're currently also doing a study of Sky Harbor Airport, looking at the jobs, the revenues created there. So we approached this particular project the same way we approach all of our economic impact studies. I, of course, had the tour myself from Ruston, and I'm used to working with the numbers and kind of working on the spreadsheets and so forth. But it was really an eye-opener to go down there, see the technology, to see the plans, and really get an understanding of how this is going to fit into the Pinal County economy. Now, our starting point for the study, of course, was to get an understanding of the jobs that would be created directly by the project, the expenditures that would be made, the investment in the community, and then we went from there to treating this as we would a major economic entity, looked at how this would create secondary jobs and have an economic footprint that was of long duration. And so our bottom line conclusion then was expressed in terms of jobs, dollars, personal income created as a result of the presence of the copper activity there.
Do you have anything to add to that, Rustin?
Well, I think Lee really offered an excellent summary, and we're certainly going to talk specifically about the numbers in terms of the revenues and the jobs and certainly the impact of personal income. For us, when we think about what the report represents, it's, again, very comprehensive and very dynamic. But the real takeaways for us is the fact that we know that we will be an economic job creator for the region, and we do know that the new revenues that we bring into the community and to the county are real. And so we see the project certainly as an opportunity for economic diversity. We see the project as an opportunity to get back into a basic industry and a position of strength for Florence. And we see the opportunity translating to folks that are looking for work, because I can tell you, working in the community office downtown, we average a person a day walking in looking for employment. And so folks are
Wow.
ready for an opportunity like this. They're hungry for an opportunity like this. And we believe that certainly when copper deposits look like this and are amenable to in situ technology, this will be a preferred method of extraction for copper deposits all around Arizona.
How do you collect data for a project like this? I mean, how do you collect it?
Well, the starting point, of course, is to work closely with CaRREIRO and really go over their plans for the investments that they're going to make, what types of expenditures are going to be required. We really did a thorough investigation of the hiring plan, looked at the type of workers that would be needed, the wages that would go along with those workers. So the starting point really was to take the numbers from Ruston and just analyze those and say, here's your initial economic impact as seen by the financial plan and the overall technology plan for the project.
So this is a huge project that you've taken on. Do you have a big team on this, or?
Well, fortunately, at the university, we have access to the student workers, so
Nice.
we get high-quality workers at, just about minimum wage, but they love what they're doing. But that's, of course, important for us, for them to have some experience with the analysis and so forth. But the primary people involved were myself, Dennis Hoffman, also a professor at ASU, and then Tom Rex, who is really our lead staff researcher there in the Seidman Institute. But I would say that over the course of the project, we had 3 or 4 student workers that also were supported.
How long does a project like this take to complete?
Well, we've probably been involved in the various drafts and so forth for I would say, gee, what is it, about 3 months or so, just kind of making sure that we've got every single number correct, checking and double checking. But it's in the ballpark of about a 1-year project, I think.
Just about. In fact, Dr. McFeeters and I first met last summer to discuss the scope and begin working on this project. One of the things that was very important to us, Joe, was to make sure that we took our time with this particular study because we wanted the results, we wanted the conclusions that were derived from it to be absolutely rock solid. And this is an independent report that's authored by experts in economics.
This is the real info.
This is a 129-page document that is comprehensive and dynamic in scope, and the results, in our view, are very compelling for supporting Florence Copper and what the project, again, represents to the town, to the county, and to the state.
Well, it really shows, it shows your company how it wants everyone to be in the know, rather than wonder, what's happening behind the scenes, what's the real this and that. When you hire an independent research professor, I've never even heard that term before, research professor.
It's all research for me.
Are you the kind of behind the scenes guy that gets all the stuff taken care of?
Well, for this entire year, I have not been involved in any teaching duties and been involved strictly in research projects.
Wow.
And I would just point out that my salary is paid by these research projects, so this is totally an effort on the part of the business school to become embedded in the community, get an understanding of important parts of the economy, and so I've learned a lot in the process myself.
People that wanna actually take a look and go through the results, is that something that's going to be publicly made available, or?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question, Joe. We took the report live the second that we had the final draft. It's available at our website, florencecopper.com. It's on the home page. So just take a quick jump to the website, download the report, and we're also going to be producing a brochure in the near term that really condenses a lot of the key information so that if folks don't have an opportunity to spend time and read through all 129 pages, they'll have a document that they can use for reference, and they'll have at the ready.
So I hope I'm not just jumping right in and bombing you with this question, but I'm very anxious to find out what are the results and what are the benefits going to be for the people in the town of Florence, Pinal County, Arizona?
Well, our analysis broke the project down into 3 phases, and that's the way I believe Florence Copper looks at it, and that's the way we looked at it as well. The whole project starts off with a construction phase, and the type of workers involved there, of course, are primarily construction workers. The jobs created for that phase, which extends for about really 2012 through 2014, that would be the initial kind of effort to really get the land prepared and just the foundation laid for further work. That we saw that as creating about 285 jobs right there in that initial phase. And then that is followed, of course, by the full production phase, which extends for a number of years, almost 20 years. And over that period, there would be over 450 jobs created in the Pinal County area as a result of the project. And then finally, after that, there's a closure phase, a reclamation, and certainly, we're, of course, 2 decades away from that, but the initial projections that we had would be that there'd still be job creation going on in the range of about 300 jobs associated with that. And, of course, these jobs then, every job creates other jobs. Your workers, they bring home their paycheck, they spend it in the community, and it goes all the way from the grocery store to their insurance agent, house payment, they require medical care. All of these spending streams then circulate in the economy, and that adds then to the overall impact. And so the result of any kind of a major project like this is to have not only a direct impact but an indirect impact, and the combination of those two, of course, is what gives you your overall economic impact. And for this particular project, we saw a total impact. You can measure it in various ways, but I think personal income is probably one of the best. That's over $700 million for the Pinal County area over the whole life of the project. Well,
give me that number again.
709 million is our actual
Nice.
number there. And while that's going on, of course, you have the jobs in place, over 400 jobs related to the existence of the project.
And most of those are head of household type income jobs?
Yeah, one of the things, of course, that really needs to be emphasized here is that the initial jobs, that is the direct jobs created by the Florence Copper project, those jobs are probably going to pay much higher than average wages. Copper is the highest paid industry in the entire state. And those jobs then mean that the workers have significant purchasing power, and so their impact on the community is going to be quite a bit larger, I think, than the average. And then there's another element to it. The type of job that's involved is different from your usual copper mine. You usually think of a copper mine as an excavation process.
Right.
This is an entirely different process. I'll let Rustin describe it, but there's a lot of computer workers, scientific workers, technology workers, and so you have a different mix of employment. You still have, certainly the basic people that are working in the field, and the people that are involved in, just kind of the day-to-day getting out there and turning the valves and so forth. But overall, I think that you're going to have higher paid jobs, and you're going to have a tilt towards much more technically oriented jobs.
Right, and for those of you out there listening that don't know about the Florence Copper project and curious, this is not digging giant holes and going under the ground with headlights and all that. That aspect that's a thing of the past. This is some new technology that is just absolutely mind-boggling. Rustin, tell us a little bit about the technology behind this.
Well, I'm happy to discuss briefly in situ copper recovery. I certainly don't want to get too far away from the economic impact study because it's really powerful. We want to dedicate as much time as we can. But in situ recovery is a method of solution-based mining. So essentially, we're recovering copper in place. That's what in situ means. It's Latin for in place. So we have a very dilute solution that goes to the copper deposit, pumps at the bottom of recovery wells, pull solution across the deposit, and copper is dissolved into the solution. That's pumped back to surface where it's processed with standard conventional technology, which is called solvent extraction and electrowinning, which is done all around the state and has been for a number of years. In fact, that part of the process was actually invented here in Arizona in the late 1960s. And importantly, it does plate out what we call 5/9 copper, which is 99.999% pure copper cathode. So it's the purest form, fetches the highest market price, and is also really the cleanest way to manufacture copper cathode. So there's a lot going on in terms of the technology, and we can really spend all day with that. But I did want to jump back to your question about the higher wage employment, because it's a really impactful one, and it's a good one. You mentioned, sort of the median household income for Florence, and one of the things that the study ultimately concludes, if I recall correctly, is that based on the average industry wage for copper, we're looking at a single earner that's potentially nearly double what a household income would be in the Florence area. So this is very impactful for quality of life issues and work-life balance if you have those things in mind. And so I think people do, because they come in and they ask us about the types of jobs that we're hiring.
Right.
And to Lee's point, this is a different animal versus a traditional operation, and does represent more technical opportunities for folks. And the interest certainly is out there. One of the other really fundamental aspects of this report that strikes me is the conclusion that for our operations, we have the ability to source 2/3 of our employment needs from workers in Pinal County. So the impact for folks that are looking for work, hardworking Arizonans ready to get back to work, is real.
That's huge.
You know, just a historical note there, looking back at Arizona's history as the leading copper state, and, you know, that was true 100 years ago, and here we are, you know, in 2012, Arizona's, you know, 100th year birthday. We're still the leading copper state, and we were reminded in looking at the data that Pinal County actually has historically accounted for about a third of all Arizona copper mining, copper employment. And in the heyday, it was approaching 50%. So Pinal County is a county that has a history with copper. There are still plenty of people in the county that have capability, background, experience, and I think they're certainly going to have an opportunity. Of course, we have the nearby metropolitan area that, if necessary, will be a source of employment as well. So this, you know, isn't the kind of situation where people, I think, are going to be looking for employment in a remote site sort of setting. I think that Florence is a very attractive community for people to move to, and I think that there'll be plenty of very good applicants. So we just didn't see the labor force as a problem at all for the project.
That's very exciting for sure for our area. What is the total economic stimulus that's been created by, or that's being created by the Florence Copper Project?
Well, you know, that draws me into then you know, kind of your economic jargon, but let's start at the national level. And the way you measure the health of the national economy, you look at something called gross domestic product, GDP. And at the national level, that's, you know, about $15 trillion, something like that. But that represents the output, the market value of what is produced in the nation. So every state contributes to that, and at the state level, it's called the gross state product. And so what we measured as sort of our overall impact figure was the contribution of the Florence Copper Project to the Arizona gross state product, and that then represents the new production that is created, and as a contribution then to Arizona's gross state product. And the dollar amount was just over $2 billion over the life of the project. So you know, we're talking just a really significant footprint, not only in the Florence area, but for the whole state.
You say $2.2 billion?
That would be over the life of the entire project, right?
What does that mean, and how will the money be generated and dispersed?
Well, there's different ways of looking at it. From that, of course, you get income. And what's really important, of course, is how does this create jobs? How does it support jobs? And one of the things that I think people tend to forget is that in order to produce a specific project, you need all sorts of suppliers that are not really related to that industry in a direct way. For example, you need insurance, you need security, you need people that are performing maintenance on drains, and you know, this sort of thing. And therefore you have what are called secondary jobs that are created. So from this $2 billion impact over the life of the project, you would create for the state of Arizona over 600 jobs that would be related to that 2.2 billion. But most importantly, you would have the wages, the compensation, the spending power of the people that were involved in that activity, and that's where we computed our personal income, which we would call the return to what are called the factors of production. I hate to use this terminology with you, but the factors of production have to be paid, and that's where that personal income comes in. So you would see almost 2 billion or 1.7 700. Let me check my numbers here so that I'm absolutely certain here. Okay, we've got the 709 would be for Pinal County, but for the state as a whole, it would be 1.4 billion, because some of your suppliers, of course, are going to be outside the county. So that's why the state impact is bigger than the county impact. But again, going back to the way this works, it creates jobs not only in Florence, but countywide, statewide, and in fact, to the extent that some equipment and materials are ordered from out of state, it actually has an impact on the whole nation.
Can you tell us some of the ways that this is going to directly impact the town of Florence?
Well, one of the benefits of Florence, of course, is that they will have increased tax revenues. Our estimate for that was, depending on the price of copper, was in the ballpark of about $60 million over the life of the project. And for the state as a whole, again, depending on the price of copper, you factor in your sales taxes, your income taxes that are created, various royalties for the use of the state land and so forth. It's would exceed $325 million for the state. So that's really important for the town, I think, as an additional means of revenue to support public expenditures.
I think that's a really strong point as well, Joe. I mean, if you're living in Florence and you have an opportunity to diversify your economy with a project like this in a basic industry, ultimately, what does that mean for you if you've got a new job center? That means you've got folks working and having an enhanced quality of life, hopefully, if they're living in Florence or the region. It means lower property taxes, which means more money is freed up for public safety and for education and for infrastructure improvements like water and sewer. So the impacts are very real, and we're very excited to talk about them, certainly. So, the monies that flow back into the community as a result of operations from this industry and from this particular project will be significant. And actually, I think it's also important to point out that they have the opportunity, these revenues, to impact lives at a very, very critical time. Again, we're in an economy that needs improvement, and we certainly see this project as an opportunity to take a step in that right direction toward economic recovery in our state and the county and in the town, provide high-wage jobs, and generate quality revenues that are much needed.
I would say the bottom line of all that is just creating a lot of happy people out here. I don't see a downside whatsoever. That is unbelievable. God, I don't know what else to ask.
Let me just make one other observation. When you talk about economic development, invariably what the objective is to enhance the overall level of economic activity. And what is really the catalyst for that is outside dollars. For Arizona, the reason tourism is important in Arizona is that we want people to come here from other states. We want them to come to the Super Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl or just to come to play golf and bring their dollars with them. And those outside dollars have a much bigger impact than a retail operation, which basically is just recirculating dollars that are already here. So when we're talking about copper, we're talking about a product that is traded not only nationally but internationally. And so we are bringing new dollars into Arizona from outside the state, which is good for economic development. And then we're also bringing dollars from outside the country, which is doubly beneficial because that, of course, has a very high-powered effect on the economy because the overall impact then is everything is completely new. It's new dollars. It's not dollars that are being recirculated even from other states. So when you're talking international trade or you're talking cross-state trade, that's where your major economic impacts come from.
The infusion of new money.
New dollars, that's it.
Gotcha. Well, do you have anything that you'd like to talk about or add to that? Because I'm not. I think we covered it pretty well, but I want to make sure that in case I'm missing anything here.
Well, I want to emphasize that the jobs that are created are not all mining jobs. In the process of hiring workers and lining up suppliers, the result is that the whole community then has the benefit of higher incomes, more spending, and that creates additional jobs in restaurants. People come to visit the project, and this project is so unique, of course, that I think it'll probably draw international visitors, and all of that has an effect on the economy as well. So when we project, for example, over 650 jobs for the state, the mining jobs are just a small proportion of that, and many other jobs are going to be created as a result outside of mining.
Right, in which in turn the businesses out here are going to be able to expand, hire new people as well.
That's it. That's exactly it, Joe.
Right.
You know, one of the other things, Joe, that Lee's been talking about really is this new opportunity for private sector employment. I mean, we do look at Florence as a community and recognize that it's the county seat and that there is a significant influence from the correctional system in this particular community. So this project represents the opportunity to diversify a bit more and allow more private sector employment into the town and draw, as Lee has stated, from the supply chain. We know that mining projects in general, and certainly this in situ copper recovery project, have the ability to build communities. They build communities by hiring folks, by generating revenues, and turning those revenues back into the communities to support local businesses and the supply chain. So once we're up and moving, we'll have vendors that will be serving us, new businesses that will be coming to town. Folks will be seeing the impact, whether you're a restaurant owner and you're seeing more Florence Copper employees come to eat in your restaurant every day, or whether you're working at a bank and you're opening new accounts with Florence Copper employees. Those impacts are real and they are felt. So part of the important work that's gone into this study is to really reveal through the numbers how those impacts are drawn out.
Yeah, when you just think about, okay, I've heard about this project, you really don't really think about this is going to mean the new house that we've always wanted is in the near future type of thing for a lot of people out here. So that's great. I mean, wow. Leaves me speechless there, Rustin. That's tough to do.
We're happy to be here, Joe.
Right on, right on. Well, Dr. McFeeters?
Are you looking for a final overview?
Sure, let's do a final overview. That sounds great.
You know, I think that when you look at the Arizona economy, going back to the history of copper, when you look at the way the really manufacturing has changed, what we've seen is a transition in various industries really away from kind of hands-on labor force to much more of a technology-oriented kind of output. We see that in manufacturing, and even though manufacturing output goes up, the employment is not going up at the same pace. We're seeing the same thing in copper. Just because copper employment is now at about 10,000, I think, for the state of Arizona, copper is really more important than ever to the state. It is a product that is in strong demand all around the world, and of course China would be the probably the number one market right now. And the need to respond to that market demand is going to be a mix of job creation and technology. And I think in this particular case here, we have an industry that really blends the best of those, which is great for Arizona. I think this will put Arizona on the map as a place where copper production is first rate, not only in terms of the jobs created, but also the technology of production. So it's going to be fun to see how this plays out over the next few years.
One thing I'd offer, Joe, again, is that this is a near-term economic development opportunity. This is a project that's ready. This is a project that has been commercially permitted in the past for this type of extraction technology. And this is a project that's financed through phase one. This is a project that is ready to go and has an opportunity to impact the economy of the state, of the county, and of the town, again, at a critical time, at a time when it's needed. And I share Dr. McFeeter's sentiment about making something again in our country, and certainly made in Florence as a tagline that we've we've leveraged over the past several months. We want to be in that position where we're producing again a very much needed commodity and a very valuable commodity to serve not only domestic markets but international markets. And so it's an opportunity for everyone really in the town and in the region and in the state to take a look at this study and to see what it represents.
Do you have any idea when the actual pumps and things are going to get turned on?
Well, Joe, as you know, we're moving forward through our first processes, which are permitting, and we're very much looking forward to manufacturing copper cathode in Florence. And certainly the sooner that we can get going, the sooner that we can hire folks, and we're very excited about the prospects for our Phase 1 operations.
Any contact information we can give out for further questions, if anyone has any?
Certainly. Again, check us out, florencecopper.com. We've got the study on the homepage, and we've got contact information for folks that may have questions from academia or the media. And certainly Dr. McFeeters and Dr. Hoffman have been very courteous in offering some of their time to talk about this study, and we certainly appreciate that.
Dr. McFeeters, thank you so much for coming in and giving us all your fabulous research information here.
Thank you, Joe.
Then Rustin, always a pleasure. You're always welcome anytime here. We'd love to have you in.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you having us.
And this show has been about, if you're joining us late here, we were talking a special report about the Florence Copper Project and the socioeconomic impact study that was just completed. Heading it with Dr. McFeeters here from the ASU, Arizona State University. Thanks again. I'm going to send you back to some sponsors and enjoy our music. We'll be back with you this afternoon.
Are you ready to start taking control of your future and maximize your earning potential? Central Arizona College has smaller class sizes and personalized attention to help you compete in today's tough job market. CAC now serves Santan Valley and Queen Creek. The CAC Santan Center